Just smile on everyone's face.
No poverty for anybody, and zero anger too. Good healthcare to keep us well, and never sad or blue. Treat us right and we'll not fight. Let everyone go to school. Girls are just the same as boys. This is the global rule, and never sad or blue. Treat us right and we'll not fight.
Well, I've seen it all now. This is a collaboration between two schools in Scotland, I think, and one from Ghana. And obviously, no fault of the children. They're just making a song about what they're being taught in school. But that's fundamentally the issue with this. I mean, the lyrics there, banging on about ending poverty for everybody. Everybody being entitled to free healthcare. And how do these people think these ambitions will be achieved? And as far as the focus on girls, it's an open secret at this point that a lot of funding goes into these countries targeting girls. On the one hand, arguably to give them the same opportunities, but it's also to decrease the births. And then they implement the same feminist framework here to ensure that our birth rates and our decline as a populace continue to decrease, which really does make you question the sincerity of the fake concern displayed by the Rainbow Unicorn delegates when they talk about the rejection of the Scottish visa. These people were that concerned about demographic decline. Why are they promoting everything that is going to ensure that the demographics continue to decline?
Wanted to talk all this through with a Conservative. It is their party's flagship policy after all, but no joy. We bid for the Home Secretary, any Home Office Minister, the Scottish Secretary, the Under Secretary of State for Scotland, Jackson Carlaw. In fact, we asked for any Scottish Tory MP or MSP to come on and discuss this with us. Not one of them was available, apparently. But the Scottish Government's Migration Minister, Ben Macpherson, is here. Ben Macpherson, thank you very much indeed for being with us tonight. I suspect I needn't ask this. What do you make of this policy?
These policy proposals are devastating, offensive and completely nonsensical. They're devastating because they will stop the Scottish economy and other organisations, including care providers, being able to do all that they can to preserve their current workforce and continue to sustain the services that they do now. In the medium term, it will prevent the growth that we could achieve. For example, Scotland Food and Drink today have said that they need to recruit 40,000 workers over the next 10 years. And in the long term, where we face demographic challenges, like many other countries in Europe, but in Scotland it's particularly acute because of our history and our geography. Demographic challenges, like sustain the services that they do now, sustain the term where we face demographic challenges, like many other countries in Europe, but in Scotland it's particularly acute because of our history and our geography. These proposals from the UK government will make it extremely challenging for us to tackle those long-term challenges.
Would work within the UK immigration system. It would be tied to the separate Scottish tax code that already exists because of the devolution of income tax, and we're willing to discuss and negotiate the detail of that. There are examples in federal countries like Australia and Canada where there isn't a one-size-fits-all, so it's perfectly workable. But there is virtual unanimity in Scotland around concern about the proposals published by the government this week. They are potentially devastating for the Scottish economy because we need to keep attracting people to work in Scotland because of the shape of our demographics. So we need to keep attracting people to work in Scotland because of the shape of our demographics. So around concern about the proposals published by the government this week, they are potentially devastating for the Scottish economy because we need to keep attracting people to work in Scotland because of the shape of our demographics. Work in Scotland because of the shape of our demographics. So I work in Scotland because of the shape of our demographics. So
That's a video for another day. Willing to eat insects in school dinners. Tasting sessions took place with nearly 200 pupils in Wales using products made from insects and plant protein mints. 3 schools, students tasted VEXO bolognese and burgers, made by Welsh company Bug Farm Foods. Researchers said children liked the meals and were open to eating it on a regular basis, with all the children responding favourably on the bolognese version. In order to encourage children to come around to the concept of even considering eating a bug, I presume they would have had their head filled to the brim of this propaganda. This is the first time that a study like this is focused on young people, and the first time that practical tasting with edible insects has been conducted. What might be a surprise to many parents, the reception from children was overwhelmingly positive. Were the parents informed that you were planning this experiment? I'm intrigued. Children also learn more about food sustainability. Of course they did. Health benefits of eating insects. Oh, the health benefits of eating insects, aye? There is increasing pressure to feed the world's growing population a diet which is both healthy and sustainable for the planet. Introducing insects into our diets could be part of the solution. But to do that, we have to ensure that the younger generation are on board. Brookshire County Council will be offering VEXO Bolognese on school lunch menus for the Royal Entomological Society's National Insect Week in June, with plans for the dish to be added to the regular menu later in the year. They're rolling out insects in Welsh schools. Fucking wow. Queer theory in Scottish schools. Theory and gender ideology and its application in schools can be summed up in an influential book published in 2009 called Interrogating Heteronormativity in Primary Schools, the work of the No Outsiders programme. A contributor to the No Outsiders programme was Andrew Moffat, who was the headmaster involved with introducing the No Outsiders LGBTs in the tea educational curricula in Birmingham, which resulted in the protests that we were all familiar with. Its stated objectives were to understand the operation of heteronormativity, its normalisation, and to develop means to challenge its normativity in primary schools. It would develop teaching practices for the classroom so it could carry these objectives out. Develop teaching practices, pleasure, bodies and desires. The reasoning being for this, and given to correct this omission, was that it denies children engagement with vital information about sexualities, silences the sexual voice of children, and erases their sexual agency. And concerns of the No Outsiders project are reiterated and re-emphasised with the offer's aim of exploring how to make safe spaces in primary schools in which children could talk about sexualities, their parents' sexualities, their parents' friends' sexualities, and indeed the sexualities of the children. It's also encouraged for the teachers to take part. The darker aspect of the No Outsiders lurks hidden in the manifesto for queering the classroom. The overt disdain for heteronormativity is revealed in discussions of a need for the rejection of heterosexuality and reproduction. There is an increasing pressure to feed the world's growing population a diet which is both healthy and sustainable, implying there's too many people and a lack of resources. And now we have the LGBT emphasis in the tea element that's got a sinister undertone that's rather similar. And we've also got the feminist ideology that's been promoted everywhere, including the nurseries, the primary schools, the high schools, work in general, politics, society, and the birth rate's on the decline. And what's the Scottish Government doing about it? Well, they want to import migrants to have babies. I wonder why that is. That there was a need to challenge reproductive futurism and that queering, the classroom and human are at odds with each other. Indeed, the rationale for teaching children at all is questioned as queer existences for lifestyles are antagonistic to our reproductive future. And the notion of the family, biological mothers and fathers, heterosexuality, commitment to heterosexual monogamy for one's children, and the future all need to be sacrificed on the altar of queer theory. The Scottish Government has been pushing this agenda, along with the Thai campaign, as well as a plethora of other institutions and organisations. But who is responsible for the Scottish Government getting their hands dirty in this absolute cancer? Absolutely every single thing that the Scottish Government decide to push through, the United Nations are behind it. Even things such as into relevant and effective learning outcomes by 2030, ensure that all boys and girls have access to early childhood development care and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education. Well, what a shock. What was all this BS about making Scotland the best place in the world for children to grow up? Funny that, we're not having children. Who's that for? Well, I think we all know. Scotland's the best nation in the world, that's funny. Our learners are committed to the principles of global citizenship, social justice and equity. Yes, that's right, social justice and equity. You know, it's remarks such as that the alarm bell should be ringing for people, but I don't know. The people of this country sit in awe of that thin-lit Fruit Loop every time she decides to peddle more BS. Well, Goal 5 is all about feminism and gender equality. So naturally, it stands to reason that the Scottish Government will be quick to pounce on that one, considering Nicola Beauclerk-Sturgeon is a quote-unquote avid feminist. One does have to wonder if it's all part of the act. The Equally Safe strategy was developed in 2014 and has been developed in partnership with the Scottish Government and COSLA, along with a wide range of partners from public and third sector organisations. It recognises all forms of violence against women and girls, including domestic abuse, rape and sexual assault, commercial exploitation, and honour-based violence such as female genital mutilation. In taking an explicitly gendered understanding of violence against women and girls, Equally Safe recognises that gender inequality is the root cause and consequence of violence against women and girls. Yes, that's right. The only way that they're going to solve domestic violence and rapes from ever occurring is to implement feminism in nurseries and primary schools, etc., etc. You know, empower the girls, erode everything that would be considered traditional, and of course with the sole purpose of doing their best to ensure that the birth rate continues to plummet. Some of the objectives at the end of it all that they hope to see being that positive gender roles are promoted, because currently as things stand, they're not, according to the feminists. Oh yes. Men have equal access to power and resources. Power. There's that Marxist rhetoric again, boy. Carry out violence against women and girls, change their behaviour, and are supported to do so. Now on the surface level that appears fine. But, as I read out earlier on, they've expanded the definition of violence to encompass anything they fucking want it to encompass. Packed an understanding of citizenship, developing the necessary competences and positive orientation to becoming a responsible citizen, include considering the relationship between people of different backgrounds, nationalities and cultures, and our collective and individual relationships with the natural world. In the context of this review, the literature highlighted the significance of systems and systemic thinking as core to sustainability, and a threshold concept, allowing deeper understanding and facilitation of responsible actions, citizenship, with regard to the natural and social world, as issues such as fairness, justice and equity. The game of the UN Sustainable Development Goals is to transform our world, apparently. So whenever that thin-lit Fruit Loop or one of her advocates decides to brag about getting on with the day job, just remember what they mean by that. And just remember who that benefits. Sure as fuck ain't you.